All right, gentlemen, the conversation continues, and we're going to talk about a really difficult one. I don't recall it being as big a problem when I was growing up, but perhaps it has evolved into one simply because of the pressures that are new. Bullying. Today's school environment, there's some of that going on, and let's talk about the coach's responsibility to combat that. First of all, let's give us some perspective on bullying as you see it. Glen, unpack it.
I think it happens more in the lower grades and areas where you have, especially on the girls' side, it happens a lot with social media. But there's another type of bullying too, and that is there's bullying right now for doing the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing, and there's social media getting after our athletes because they're following what we're asking them to do. And the bullying too with you drop a touchdown pass, that comes across, as social media. They're getting after the athlete for making the mistake. So the bullying is a lot deeper than just somebody pushing somebody or saying something. It goes a lot deeper with the media that we have.
See, that's a powerful statement. Now you have the anonymity of social media. You can hide behind those statements, and those words do cut nonetheless.
You don't have to go face to face. Nobody knows who that is saying that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Coach, what about bullying?
I didn't see it much. I'm like you. There was a little bit. I was born in 1951, so back in the day, if you were on the bus and some big guy, I went to a rural school. We had 3 rooms, first, second, third in one room, fourth, fifth, and sixth in another. Junior high was 7th and 8th is in another room. So everybody knew everybody. I came from a small rural town in East Tennessee, so everybody knew each other. And if there was a big guy messing with some of the younger kids on the bus, particularly, all of a sudden that went away. Whether big brother, big sister, teacher, their mother got word of it back, the bus driver would stop the bus and handle things. Today's society, we got whippings back in the day. In today's society, you can't put your hands on another child. So I say all that. There was some bullies around, but they didn't stay around. I see more today, like Glen says, from the preteens and that kind of thing. So never saw it on the collegiate level.
DW, how about you?
Again, I'm like Coach Ruck. I'm about the same age as him. I was born in '51 as well, and so I didn't see any. We didn't have any when I was in high school. We did experience a little bit of it when I first got to Judson. There was some initiation and hazing going on with the football team, and I think one of the main things that you do in situations like that, number one, I think you need to have time when you take your kids into the classroom, and you sit down and you talk to them about the things that they need to be talked about, and one of them is bullying, if you are hazing. If you're going to have hazing, then what does that do? If a leader, if you're going to be a leader, you should be one that's stepping out and taking those things away. You ought to be the one that's taking those younger players under your wing and showing them the way it's done. And you shouldn't be one that's dividing the team and causing problems with the team through bullying. And all that does is it divides and destroys the foundation of a team. And I think once you get the players understanding that, then it's easy for them to back off of it. Now, I haven't had a whole lot of experience with the social media part like Coach West did, but I did have some experience in that. And when we sat down and talked to them and talked about, these are leadership qualities that you need to have, and if you're going to have those type of qualities, bullying is not any part of that. It's not to be tolerated.
Using your voice and actions responsibly, Coach. I mean, you're in the throes of it right now, so I'm going to come back to you, and then Coach Rucker, you can dovetail on this. Are you guys programmatically approaching this, or are you just working with individual coaches to talk about the weight and gravity of social media?
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about this morning. In 2013 was the first time that we let our kids, we said it's okay to be on social media. Before then, we tried, you know, we didn't realize what a big deal we're dealing with, and we just said, don't do it. Well, that's ridiculous. They're going to be on. So now you need to make sure that you're, using the proper way to communicate and to respond to people, and we have all of our coaches on it, and making sure that it's clean, or it's not. It's everything that they're doing needs to be towards being a better person, a better team.
Have you ever dealt with any large-scale social media-related bullying situations ever? Have you come across?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you
Yes.
unpack that for us to the degree that you can?
Yeah, you had a situation where there was a young girl that had exposed herself, and the form of bullying was a young man showed that to other people, and yeah, that was a really, really tough situation.
How did you manage it? I mean, what's the solution? We don't want to compromise people. Obviously, you won't. But how do you manage scenarios like that? Do you hold that up as an example to the rest of the kids and say, hey, this is, to your point, DW, how not to do something?
Yeah, I think prevention is the key to everything. We're a reacting society. We react to what just happened, and I think one of the things that Coach Rutledge has done through the association, Texas High School Coach Association, he tries to give us tools to be proactive and do things before they happen, and that's a big help.
DW, what are some of those tools that you provide to help them identify problems in advance?
Well, nothing as far as bullying is concerned, but we do have just this year we started a Start the Conversation program, which is a sexual violence, dating violence, and respect for women, and that's available to coaches. There's 3 20-minute lessons that's backed up by 3 short videos that go along with them that starts the conversation on sexual assault and consent and those types of things. Those are sensitive subjects that's hard for a coach to get on the table, and they need some help with that, and we feel like that is the same. I don't know if you're aware of RISE, the race relations piece that Stephen Rice with the Miami Dolphins is working with. Is a race relations deal, and we're working on getting some of that out to them. The Inside Out character coaching that Joe Ehrman has done, we make that available to our coaches. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to give to them that address those intangibles.
How do you recognize a student that may be this maybe is best for you, Glenn, that's going through some online issues relative to this, and social media may be pushing it? Is there a process in place? Are there markers, bibliography, and footnotes?
We try to make sure that we have enough coaches in place that are always on social media, and they're checking it. What you find out today is that your life story is out there for everybody to see, and that's the way the young people don't understand that what they're saying affects their life, and it truly is their resume, and they don't realize that. And so education on that, making sure that everything that you're putting out there is to put you in a positive light, and then when somebody is receiving something on a negative side, a bullying type situation, we've got enough coaches that are able to watch those things, and we're not going to catch everything, but we do find when that's happening. There's no secrets out there. It's out there for everybody.
Coach, when I was playing and you were coaching, the social media wasn't a big problem. Matter of fact, it was very rarely seen as an issue to use as a bullying tool for someone. Can you imagine how your job would be today if you had to deal with this?
Oh, that's no doubt. And it came early 90s, I guess, is when Facebook and all that hit really, really hard. But you're right, it wasn't back when I coached. But now that it is, one of the things that we would do is, just like Glenn is talking, we'd monitor. every kid on social media. And if there was something that popped up that wasn't appropriate, get it off. Doesn't stop it, but it slows it down. And you have to monitor it because kids are going to be kids. And I know that's a cliche, but sometimes they don't think like we do as adults. They'll put it on there. And sometimes as adults, we put things on there. You know, there's a whole lot of things going on right now. Being the Super Bowl week, there's a lot of things that's popped up on social media from adults that you don't like, whether you call that being a bully or not. But you've got to monitor the kids.
Yeah, monitoring is important, but they're almost like there's something else. And I think DW start to go down this path when you're talking about giving tools to help them understand the impact of their words. And is there anything we can do after school program-wise to help people understand the impact of their words? I mean, look, I make no apologies for being the son of a missionary, but my mom used to always talk about this one passage that talked about the sun and the rain coming down from heaven and watering the seed and causing it to bring forth after its own kind. So shall my word be. It will not return void until it has achieved the purpose unto which it was sent. I never forgot that. And she would explain to me what that means. She means that her God created the context where if you take a seed and put it in the ground, you water it and you nurture it, the seed really has no choice in the equation. It has to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to be a seed, tree, whatever it is. So shall the word be. It will not return void. So if I speak something about you and I keep calling you that and I'm doing that, that's going to scar you. Yes. It's going to impact you. What can we do about that programmatically? Wise? Is that important?
Well, we're very fortunate because we're in a very powerful situation. As with athletics, we have something they want to do. It's not like English class where they have to do it. So I think you have to first recognize the power that you have, and then you got to spend time finding resources. And I mean, that's like I said, I can give a million reasons for being a member of the Coaches Association, but one of the things that DW has really jumped on is he is trying to give us in every angle a tool, a criteria that we can use. So we spent time last year with a partnership with the Cowboys and the UIL, and that was a criteria to use on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it hands it out for you of how you can address a lot of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that too is, and this is just in dealing with the kids. You know, we talked to them about and what you said about it. You know, they're building their resume. I think that's critical for those kids to know because they can build a great resume, or they can make social media work for them, and you know, by putting positive, strong thoughts that's coming directly from them on social media, and they can build their resume that way too. And I think it's just again with kids and in athletics, to me, you know, we talk about, you know, the game is 90% mental and 10% physical, and I got to thinking about that when I was coaching, and I thought, you know, we don't take these kids inside and talk to them enough. We don't set them down and talk to them about the importance of attitude and what work ethic is all about, and what, you know, how selfishness can destroy, and those types of things where you can take those kids in and you can talk to them in the classroom about those types of things. And the social media, you know, would be the same thing. It's just a matter of sitting down and talking to them. It's like we was talking about the bullying a while ago, taking them in and talking to them about, you know, what are the effects of bullying, and what can we do, or what are you going to do as a leader of this team to eliminate it? And those are things that it just takes talking to those kids, and I think they respond to that. But too much, we don't take them out of that weight room or off that track and put them in the classroom. And
I think too, to his point, it's the head coach's responsibility. You know, we talk about getting with the kids. Everything we're talking about is monitoring the kids. Mm-hmm. Well, if we don't, as head coaches, get that out to our assistant coaches, there's no way that there can be any kind of organized, you know, group or plan together. So you have to first, as a head coach, you've got to be passionate about what you believe in, and then you've got to be a good communicator to get that to your assistants, and expectations have to be out. Those are the guys. Those are your warriors. Those are the assistant coaches, because they're in the classroom with them. They're in the hall with them.
They're on the front line.
And you have to do a good job as a head coach. One more thing on the bullying, you know, a part of bullying too, young coaches, I really see this. A kid will make a mistake in practice and a coach will, you know, correct him very sternly. A lot of times you'll see other coaches jumping in and helping, you know, getting on that kid. Before long, that kid's defeated because 8 guys have got him. And it's a classic mistake that a young coach makes, and he thinks because this coach is doing it, I'm to do it too. And that's a form of bullying, really. And so, again, those are things that you need to talk about as a head coach to your assistants before you ever step on the field. So a lot of it has to do, again, with what you would do getting the kids.
That's good.
And I join on that conversation too, because at the collegiate level, you've got to have seminars, you've got to have team meetings, you've got to, you know, cover all these bases with social media, because it'll be all over the place if you don't. And yes, the monitoring takes place at the end, but it's not before they've been sat down each semester and talked about these certain things. I was a young coach once, and my first job out of college was in a small school in rural Kentucky. And fresh out, I played linebacker. So I'm still in great shape, and we're out there in 2-a-days, and we're doing our conditioning. And this one young man was a starter for us, went both ways, played linebacker, played tailback for us. Wasn't doing his exercise, wasn't doing his up downs. And the next thing I knew, I was standing over top of him because I had hit him in the chest, ran and hit him in the chest with my forearm. The kid after practice walked right into the locker room, put his clothes on, and was out the door. And I saw the head coach running down the street to get him. And he pulled me in after that day, and he says, "Kenny, you can be tough on them, give them tough love. But at the end of the day, you got to put your arm around them and tell them how much you love them and give them agape love." And I never forgot that. It helped me become a better person, better coach. But it is a form of being a bully, because I knew I had the edge over him. He couldn't whip me, but I was just instant. I was spontaneous to what he wasn't doing for us as we did our exercise there at the end.
Thank you for your transparency. That is so powerful to have that kind of communication. And Glenn, you said it a minute ago, it really is about communication and challenging coaches. Now that you know what the challenge is, to speak in pictures, in communicative ways that are effective. It reminded me as we close here, I use an analogy sometimes when I'm talking to groups where I use these cups, the little plastic cups, and I'll have them stick on top of each other, and I'd have folks come in from the audience. And they'll take between 16, 17 seconds to do it. And then I'll bring somebody else up, and then they figure out quickly it's a game, and then they'll try to do it faster, and they may knock a couple of seconds off, right? And then I'll bring somebody up and I'll have them knock it down. And we time each one of these. The point I'm trying to get across to them is that you may, with practice, be able to stack those cups up faster than the next person, but you will never, ever be able to create something quicker or faster than you can destroy it. And that's a principle, and it's a concept that where they may get this malaise over their eyes as you're talking to them about whatever you're talking about, they'll remember that, because then now the challenge becomes to take the bigger message and connect what bullying means. You can speak to someone and literally destroy their lives by what you say, what you expose on the internet. Let me show you an example, young man, and let me stack these cups and let me show you how it works. And then when they see it, it's about moving them from cognitive understanding of the principle to behavioral transformation. That is, the truth of the principle dictates what you go, where you go, what you say, what you put on social media, because you are potentially destroying somebody's life. And those little simple analogies, man, can be powerful tools to help us teach. The Twin Towers in New York City, I wear this today because it reminds me, and that image is etched in my mind. It took literally 6 years from conception to the last tower going on number 2 to be built. Both of them came down in less than 109 minutes. That's the principle of creativity and destruction in play. That's a powerful image in my mind. I'll never forget the principle of creativity and destruction. I think about it in my marriage and in all aspects of my life. Thank you. That was powerful time together. That was a good subject. Thank you, coaches.